From a Pokemon that has a different evolution for every evolution stone, and a Pokemon that has a different evolution based on the Pokeball you caught it with, all the way to a Pokemon that has a different form based on your device's battery percentage, and a Pokemon that literally forces you to sing to decide its evolution. It's safe to say that we've made some crazy Pokemon this year. But what if we made them even crazier? That's right, today we're gonna go through the top 10 fan favorite Pokemon that we made in 2025 and upgrade them with brand new forms and evolutions to celebrate and send off the year. Starting with Puppy, an alternate, more dog-like version of Eevee with 9 evolutions based on the types that Eevee never got. Like Quakenine, a ground-type Afghan Hound-inspired Pokemon whose sandstone skin protects it from physical attack. The next Puppy Lucian is Puppercut, a fighting-type boxing boxer, who's also based on the how they felt after saying that meme. Motmut is a ghost-type who's based on the Egyptian god of death Anubis, as well as a jackal. Rockdoge is an incredibly loyal dragon-type German Shepherd. Werewild is a steel-type Rottweiler with metallic tufts of fur around its neck, which make a natural spiked collar. Poodle is a flying-type poodle whose fur resembles puffy clouds. Rockruff is a rock-type based on an elderly mining dog. And Mushiba is probably the strangest of the Puppy Lucians because it's a bug-type Shiba. And Sholoco is a poisonous Sholoist Quintly with rabies. And with all these evolutions, Puppy actually has more evolutions than Eevee. However, it doesn't have a Gigantamax form, which makes it the perfect upgrade to give. Introducing Gigantamax Puppy. With its collar now swelling to a new enormous size, we now have a better look at the large crystals around which actually contain the elemental energy which Puppy uses to transform into its different evolutions. And speaking of transformations, our next Pokemon, Carvgoyle, has some epic ones. Introduced in the special French-themed episode of the Custom Pokemon series, Carvgoyle is a mythical Pokemon that lives in France and protects the greatest architecture found there by drawing energy from the structures themselves to morph into powerful new forms. Like its rock dart type Notre Dame themed glass form, which sports giant stained glass wings which it uses to absorb any energy based attacks and fire them back out at foes. Or its rock electric type Louvre themed pyramid form, which fires bolts of lightning from its back. And its rock grass type Versailles themed garden form is so beautiful that it's able to infatuate any who look at it, just like the Versailles Gardens themselves. And while these 3 transformations are great, there's still so much more iconic Parisian architecture that we could give Carvgoyle a new form for. And the 2 that stick out the most to me are the Eiffel Tower and the Catacombs. So when protecting the Eiffel Tower, Carvgoyle transforms into its tower form, a rock steel type that uses its humongous scorpion-like tail to skewer enemies from afar with the tower itself. And when protecting the Catacombs, it transforms into its buried form. Now sporting large claws and a serpentine build, this form of Carvgoyle is able to rapidly traverse through the tunnels themselves, allowing it to completely avoid enemies and pop out of nowhere with a jump scare attack. Now, if an architecture guarding mythical dragon Pokemon wasn't strange enough, let's now talk about Batot, a small electric type robot Pokemon that evolves at level 22. It will evolve into one of 11 different forms based on your device's current battery percentage. At 100%, it'll evolve into this version of Voltroid, which is made out of pure electricity. If between 99 and 90%, it'll be this electric steel type version, which is now inside of intricate battery armor. If 89 to 80, it'll lose one of its battery arms. 79 to 70% will lose its legs, forcing it to be an electric flying type. 69 to 60 now has stubby arms. 59 to 50 now has much smaller wings. With 49 to 40% losing its wings entirely, as it's now back to a pure electric type. 39 to 30% will give this much more weathered appearance. And 29 to 20% has lost so much power, it's now an electric dark type. 19 to 10% has basically no power left. 9% to 2% has began falling apart. And its special 1% form is now completely burnt out, as it's now a pure ghost type husk. Now, even though this mechanic is absolutely absurd, if it did exist, there would definitely be at least some trainers who would try to collect every single version of Voltroid. With one of the forms requiring your device to be at 1%, you're definitely going to run the risk of your device dying in the middle of the evolution. So what if we made a new form for that exact scenario? Introducing Voltroid's glitch form. If you've ever had a save file get corrupted before, then you know that randomly turning off your device unexpectedly can have severe consequences. And the same is true with this Pokemon, as it's now a completely glitched out mix-match combination of all its previous forms. Subnaw is a pure water type deep sea fish Pokemon that we made in episode 38, and has a split evolution based on the different Leviathans found in Subnautica, like Subjaw, a water dart type based on the iconic Reaper Leviathan, and Submaw, a water dragon type based on the fire-breathing dragon Leviathan. Subtrawl is a water ghost type based on the ghost Leviathan, and uses its ability to turn invisible to hunt prey undetected. And Subshaw is a water psychic type Emperor Leviathan, who researchers believe is actually telepathic. And you all love this thing so much that we previously gave it a Gigantamax form based on the extinct Gargantuan Leviathan, whose bones can be found in Subnautica, and there's also a really popular mod that puts it in the game. But since we did this, they actually announced Subnautica 2, and the craziest new enemy they teased is the Kraken Leviathan, so we figured it would be the perfect inspiration for a new evolution. Introducing Subcrawl, a water psychic type who most of the time is very calm and docile. However, if it detects any light with its large Sauron-inspired eye, it will be thrown into an insatiable rage, lashing out in a flurry of tentacles until whatever produced the light is completely destroyed. But Subnaw wasn't the only water type with a split evolution that we made in 2025, because in episode 31, we also made Tapoche, who might have an even weirder evolution method than Baton. You see, Tapoche loves to sing, especially with its trainer. And upon reaching level 16, Tapoche will attempt to evolve every time it levels up. However, the evolution will fail unless the player sings a note into their microphone with the pitch they sang at, determining its evolution. If you sing a low pitch, it'll evolve into Baritone, a defensive Pokemon that uses waves of sound to block attacks. If you sing a medium note, it'll evolve into Mesoto, a speedy Pokemon who's always down to dance no matter what music is playing. And if you sing a high note, it'll evolve into Soprato, a hard-hitting rock and roller who's in a constant state of moshing. And while these three evolutions encompass a lot of notes, we can still fit in some more evolutions if we go to the extreme. As to get the first of Tapoche's two new evolutions, you'll have to sing a note that's super low, which will cause it to evolve into Busto, a tongue lasso-wielding cowboy frog who's ready to lock them doors and turn the lights down low. And if the player sings a very high note, it'll evolve into Colato. Based on an opera-singing Viking, this Pokemon can shatter glass and pierce opponents' eardrums with its whistling tone. And since Tapoche is such a fun Pokemon, we couldn't stop there, so we also gave it a new Gigantamax form, whose insane size has allowed it to swell open its neck, revealing several smaller tadpole creatures inside, whose different colors resemble its different evolutions, and who all sing together in their very strange but wholesome choir. And the next Pokemon on our list is Pawniard. Yes, Pawniard was a Pokemon that already existed. One of my favorite projects we did this year was ask, so okay, if Pawniard is based on a pawn, what if instead of only evolving into Bisharp, the Bishop-inspired Pokemon, it was instead part of a brand new split evolution based on all the chess pieces, as Pawniards with defense-increasing natures would evolve into Rookazor, a bulky pure steel-type twin-shielded Rook-inspired Pokemon. Pawniards with speed-increasing natures evolve into Bayonet, a steel normal-type Night Pokemon. Pawniards with attack-increasing natures evolve into Excalibur, a steel psychic-type king who uses his small blade to end any foes who get too close. And special attack-increasing natures give Ilizar, a steel ghost-type queen who launches balls of ghostly energy from incredible range. And as a chess enthusiast myself, I figured it would be fun that for the upgrade, we could up the chess theming even more, as from now on, Excalibur would easily be the weakest of the Pawniard evolutions, just like how the king is the weakest offensive piece. However, to make up for it, we also gave it this brand new powerful form, introducing its Checkmate form. Only achievable when facing off against the foe's final Pokemon, this Royal Warrior will swell to the power of a box art legendary, making Excalibur a weak Pokemon that brings down your team's overall power level for a majority of the battle, but allows you to close out battles with ease. And for the next Pokemon, we have Krabat, which was made by the Aussie artist, and it easily has one of the smartest ideas for a Pokemon I've ever seen, as it's a small pure steel type crab Pokemon, but upon reaching level 22, it'll evolve into a different evolution based on the type of Pokeball that it was originally caught with. If caught in a dive ball, you'll get Mechapod in its dive form, a steel water type that uses its claws to propel itself through the water. If caught in a heavy ball, you'll get Mechapod steel fire type heavy mode, which is wielding 2 forging hammers. If caught in a quick ball, you'll get Mechapod steel flying type jet powered quick form. If caught in a safari ball, you'll get its steel ground type all-terrain tire having safari form. And a heal ball will give you the steel electric type healing form, whose claws serve as life-saving defibrillators. And while these were the original evolutions made by Aussie artists, you all seem to love them so much that we decided to collaborate and make more and more evolutions until we had had one for every single type of Pokeball. So we made Mechapod Satellite Form, a Steel Cosmic type that patrols space for developing wormholes, and can only be achieved if you catch Crobat in a Beast Ball. If caught in a Netball, you'll get Mechapod's Twin Net Cannon Shooting Trapper form, which is Steel Dark type. If using a Luxury Ball, you'll get its fancy schmancy Luxury form, a bank safe that wields a Keyblade. And if you can bring yourself to use a Master Ball, you'll get Mechapod's Master form, a giant robot whose drill pierces the heavens. And of course, for today's upgrade, we had to give it even more evolution. So if caught in a Repeat Ball, you'll get Mechapod's Chain form, a centipede-like group of 4 smaller Mechapods that attack in perfect unison together. And when caught in a Timer Ball, you'll get Mechapod's Portal form, who's based on a time machine and fires 2 types of portals from its claws that work just like the ones found in the game Portal. And continuing with the theme of strange evolution methods, we have Pymood, which we made in episode 27. Pymood actually has a split evolution based on its emotions, as Pymoods that have natures which sound negative will evolve into the defensive Scoro, and Pymoods with positive sounding natures will evolve into the offensive Gleeruption. And what's crazy is from here you can actually take these 2 evolutions and fuse them together by having them both level up in the same battle, at which point they'll combine, evolving into Cerulebell. Now a perfect combination of the 2 wolves' strengths, this Pokemon could only get cooler with a new Mega evolution. Introducing Mega Cerulebell. Now adding a 3rd emotion to the mix, Mega Cerulebell now has a yellow flame of pure anger enveloping its body, pushing it to be extremely aggressive in battle, often wailing on the opponent long after they fainted. And next up, we're gonna upgrade easily the craziest Pokemon we've ever made, Sedimite. Sedimite is a pure rock-type golem who has the power to siphon energy from any evolution stone placed in its chest. Like when it's exposed to a fire stone, it'll evolve into Sedimite, a rock-fire type based on a mage, as all of these evolutions are also based on different RPG classes. A water stone will give Sedimunk a monk whose attacks flow like water. A leaf stone will cause it to evolve into Sedruid, a beastly druid who swipes at foes from all 4. A moonstone gives Rogue, a crescent moon-bladed rogue who hides in the shadow. A thunderstone will create Sedificer, an inventive artificer who constructs its own makeshift weapon. A duskstone gives Sedimancer, a ghostly necromancer who infuses small stones with ghostly energy and commands them to do its attacking for it. A shiny stone evolves into Sedaric, a fairy-type cleric who heals even better than Chansey. A dawnstone makes Sedaranger, a flying crossbow-headed ranger who can launch bolts from miles away. The ice stone will create Sedazurker, a barbarian with twin axe-bladed arms that it uses to scale icy mountains and chop enemies in half. A sunstone creates Sedavout, a sun mace-wielding paladin with impenetrable armor. And Sedalok is a rock cosmic type made from our fan-made Cosmic Stone, who channels energy from the distant evil cosmic legendary to power its attack. And because there's just so many evolutions for this thing, we've previously created a reward for people who collect all 11. As in my fan-made game, if you show all of them to a special NPC, then they will actually gift you with a Sedimite Mega Evolution Stone, which creates Mega Sedimite, a rock dragon type that's chock full of a wide array of elemental energy. And despite all the forms we've given to this Pokemon, there's still a ton of people that are always clamoring in the comments for even more evolution. And while a lot of people suggested making a Gigantamax form that combines an element from every single one of its evolutions into one giant design, we decided that was a bit too complicated, so we decided to go with a nice and say it's right behind me, isn't it? Introducing Gigantamax Sedimite! Now sporting Sedimage's staff with Sedavout's mace on top, Sedamunk's necklace, Sedazurker's icy coat, Sedaric's halo, Sedaranger's wings, Sedificer's arm connected to Sedarogue's blade, all held together by the bones of Sedamancer, with a Sedruid tail. This Pokemon is hopefully finally good enough to finish Sedimite for good. Thank you all so much for watching me over the last year. I'm coming up on my 2nd year on YouTube, and I still just can't believe how amazing of a community I have over here. Seriously, y'all keep me amped up every single day to try to keep making the biggest and best projects I possibly can. And while I'm super proud of everything we made in 2025, especially the Pokemon that appeared in this video, I still think we're just getting started, and I promise to try to make 2026 an even better year for content on this channel. In fact, the biggest goal I have is to try to finally release the fan-made game next year, and I actually think it's super possible. In fact, our goal right now is to release the first demo by episode 50 of the custom Pokemon series, and we're on episode 46, so that should be pretty soon. And that's just the beginning. I have a ton of cool stuff planned for 2026 that I hope you stick around and watch, but until then, peace.